So hi readers, today we are going to talk to Mahavir Chopra of medimanage.com, who is head of e-business, and today we will talk about some of the myths in health insurance sector. We will be talking about 11 myths which are there in people's mind, and because of that they are not in touch with the reality of what actually happens in health insurance sector. So hi Mahavir, how are you doing?
Hey Manisha, I'm good here. How are you doing?
I am doing very nice. So thanks a lot for accepting to do this video and help our readers. So let's take all the 11 myths one by one. I will ask you each of them, and you can answer them, right?
Sure. It's a great experience actually with Jago Investor. Meaning last time also when we interacted, it's a very vibrant community. And I think I have not had this kind of an experience talking to real customers on a social network as good as your website. So my compliments to your website and your community.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I know like last time many people benefited with the article which you gave, and even this time I think this will be a very exciting one because this will be an eye opener for many of them, right?
Right.
Because
the thing is that what happens is that
Yeah, go ahead.
So the thing is that because earlier there were very few products in the market, and that's why it was pretty standard. Now what has happened is that because there are so many products and multiple number of agents and agents doing part-time health insurance also, the kind of myths that have come into meaning because of the standard thought process has caused a lot of problems in the thought process and the difference between reality and what is being taught. So those kind of things. We saw that there was a big difference between what we were really looking at realities in the claims, in the way actually a policy works when you actually buy a policy, and what people's thought process is before buying the policy. So that thing was made as think about these kind of myths and thought of writing such kind of an article.
Great. Yeah. So let's take one by one all the myths, and you can clear them. So let's take the first one. Myth one is that people think that 24 hours of hospitalization is necessary to make the claim. What do you think about it?
24-hour number.
Yeah.
The 24-hour number is basically being is quite abused actually to a long meaning a very large level actually. The thing is that the 24-hour thing was brought into picture just to give a kind of a number which would rule out all kinds of outpatient treatments from the hospitalization policy which Mediclaim is. So Mediclaim is a hospitalization policy. It is not a 24-hour policy or something. So any necessary hospitalization is going to be covered. So if hospitalization is more than 24 hours but it is not necessary, so if you go for a diagnostic test and you tell the doctor, hey, I have a policy which allows me it gives me money if I am hospitalized for more than 24 hours, can you admit me for 24 hours? The doctor admits you for 24 hours, you're not going to get the money because it was actually not necessary. So the key word in basically what is covered and what is not covered is that the hospitalization is necessary and not that the hospitalization is 24 hours. We had a very interesting case about a year back which I have shared with you, is that there was the mother of a patient who basically frantically tried to pressurize the hospital saying that please keep my son for another 6 hours in the hospital and I'll get the claim. It doesn't work that way. And that was meaning when we found out, we went into detail because the hospital owner was one of our friends. We found out that it was the agent who was telling them this kind of a thing. So we found it very funny because it never works that way. It actually is more necessary. So there are cases where the hospitalization is less than 24 hours, but it could get paid if it is necessary. So,
do policy mentions this thing that even if you go there for more than 24 hours and if it is not necessary, we will not pay the claim? Is it like a hidden thing? Because it is not very obvious, right?
No, it is mentioned in the, if you look at the policy wordings, the first page says that the hospitalization should be required according to a qualified medical practitioner physician. Meaning a doctor should feel that an hospitalization is necessary. That's what when I say necessary, it has to be necessary according to a medical reason behind it being necessary. So that kind of a thing. And the second thing is that there are daycare procedures which are already covered. If you see, daycare procedures are those procedures where there is a technological advancement, and because of which it takes less than 24 hours, but then earlier it was more than 24 hours. So a cataract operation is actually 4 hours, but then it is covered because it is necessary. Meaning you cannot do a cataract operation at home or on the OPD desk. So then it is covered. So in fact, PSU policies also have a line item in the daycare procedure list which says that any other procedure in agreement with the TPA and the insurance company on case-to-case basis can also be included in the daycare procedure. So that kind of thing.
Okay. So good. Let's move to the myth 2. The myth 2 is you must compare pre-existing waiting periods always.
Right.
So what do you say about it?
Okay. I basically talk to a lot of customers, meaning I keep spending time talking to customers. And this is a pretty regular thing that people want to understand what is the pre-existing waiting period. Now, the first thing that you need to know when you are looking at pre-existing waiting period is, do you have an existing ailment? If you don't have an existing ailment, that law is not applicable to you. But there are a lot of people who say, oh, I want a less waiting period. I don't want a 4-year waiting period. And then when the guy says that no, there is no ailment, then that is not applicable to you. So you should not look at the waiting period if you do not have any ailment. It doesn't matter.
Okay. So it is only applicable for things which you already have at the time of taking the policy, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
Great. So anything else you want to add to this? Any short point? Or this is
meaning pre-existing basically has a lot of stuff, meaning which is there are a lot of misconceptions. The misconceptions are that if it is diagnosed, then it would be included, or if there are basic symptoms also it could be included. So it basically means pre-existing when you're filling the proposal form, you should include everything where you even have a symptom or it is diagnosed. It is not that it needs to be diagnosed for it to be a part of your pre-existing declaration. So that thing is one thing which also we see people asking questions on that part. So whether I should include a thing like migraine or whether I should include a malaria that I had 4 years back, I think you should try including whatever best you can. And because it is called an utmost, meaning health insurance is based on utmost good faith, you should put everything, whatever you know and you can write.
Yeah. Okay, great. Let's move to myth 3. Myth 3 is that cashless is an on-call emergency service. So a lot of people think that in case of emergencies also they can get the cashless facility. But that's not
right. Oh, that's a very big myth. Meaning that is a myth which is very widespread. Yeah. When you get a cashless card, people think that, oh, now I've got a cashless card. So even if I have an hospitalization at 2 o'clock in the night, I don't need to carry money and I can get hospitalization. The reality is pretty different. See, cashless is basically what people need to know is that cashless is an arrangement between the insurance company or the TPA and the hospital, which says that I will grant you credit once I authorize the claim, right? Meaning, so the hospital grants credit according to an agreement with the insurance company saying that fine, you pay me after 30 days, I am admitting your customer to my hospital. This part, the authorization of the claim requires the TPA to go through a certain process, which is understanding whether the policy has the sum insured and a lot of other things, whether your treatment is payable or not payable. Now, in case of an emergency, let's say an accident that occurs and the customer, someone is very, meaning in a very critical situation, and you cannot expect an insurance company to take such fast actions because they have to go through a standard procedure. Now, this is the first point. Second point is that hospitals, they have their TPA desk open only between 10 and 7 or 10 and 8 maximum, most of the hospitals. So if the TPA desk in the hospital does not work, the cashless will not happen because the process has to be initiated by the hospital, and then only the TPA will be able to understand the documents, ask for more documents. So what I sincerely request every reader of Jago Investor who's looking at this video is that do not look at cashless as an emergency service. Look at it as a convenience that if you are able to get the money, then you can get a cashless approved. You will be safe on your on your bank account. You don't have a burden on your bank account.
Yes, yes. And the other thing is, if somebody is really critically injured or there is some emergency service, I'm not sure how many people really want to get into all that contact TPA and then ask for cashless. You just are not into that situation. Exactly. Your main focus is to get to a good hospital, start moving things, and let's get things done, and then you can think about getting cashless and getting it paid and all. So yeah. So
I agree. Meaning you're not going to look out for a network hospital list at that time when someone is critical. You're just going to rush to the nearest good hospital that you can reach. So I agree with you. It's going to be, people actually ask this question that what if I'm hospitalized at 2 o'clock in the night? How would cashless work at that time? So my answer is no, it won't. You have a good credit card, you have good funds with you, which should take care of such kind of situation. It's not going to be your cashless which is going to come to rescue at that time.
Okay. Good. It was a nice point. Let's move to the next myth, which is myth 4. That you must always compare number of daycare procedures covered. That is the number of things covered in the health insurance, right? Yeah. Go ahead.
Right. Now, daycare procedures, meaning I'm sure people know about it. Daycare procedures are those procedures which require less than 24 hours hospitalization. At the same time, they basically are unnecessary hospitalization, like we mentioned earlier. Now, lists which are being published by different insurance companies. Some insurance companies actually go and say that, okay, I have 140 daycare procedures covered. Some insurance companies say we have 180, 120. These numbers are being discussed. When you're comparing these numbers with another insurance company's list, it is strictly not comparable. The reason is that some insurance company could have a very specific, long, elaborate list, and another insurance company could keep the list small, but it could be a wider list. So, for example, a company like a PSU company would have only 26 daycare procedures covered. And let's say another Apollo, ICICI, Bajaj or any other private company would say above 100 procedures covered. Not necessarily is that the 100 is more than the 25. I'll give you an example. So let's say you're looking at the Oriental policy wordings. It says there are 26 daycare procedures covered. It has one line item which says eye surgery. Whereas when you look at let's say the list of, let's say, Apollo or ICICI, it would have eye surgery broken into, let's say, 20 types of eye surgeries, which basically are covered. So when you are having a macro level list which says long, meaning a wider name, it is actually more safer than having a list which is more specific and elaborate. Because if there is a new surgery that comes into picture, which is, let's say, for eye, and it's not there in the list of the private sector, it may not get you the claim. So that's a very
So what I'm listening is, do not look at the number of things which are offered. Look at the a high level picture, because it happens that even if some companies include 100 or 200 type of things, the probability of it happening is very low. Whereas if some other company has just included 10 things, but those are those things which happen to most of the people, that is a much safer option then, right?
Right. So the number, I agree with you. So the number is not comparable, is for sure. Meaning you cannot compare this number. And we being not from a medical background, most of the customers not being from a medical background, neither am I from a medical background. It's not so easy for us to understand, those the kind of things. So we need to keep it very simple, understand the real philosophy when they are covering daycare procedures more than, going into the list and trying to understand things. That's what I would suggest.
Great. So moving on to next myth, which is a very big myth, I think. is that people check
Yes.
the list of network hospitals. If
Right.
company A has 200 hospital in its network, and company B has say 100, people think that B is always better. So what do you have to say to
Right.
that?
Right. Okay. There are two, three things in this. One is that not necessarily a small list is a bad list. I could have 4,000 network hospitals, but then most of these hospitals may not be used by customers who buy health insurance. So a customer who buy health insurance is a person who can afford 6,000 to 8,000 rupees premium at today's premiums, and may not go to the hospitals which are mentioned in those 4,000 list of hospitals. So strictly you should not look at only the number. You should actually look at, if you want to understand the quality of the network, you need to go into and understand what are the kind of hospitals that they cover. Second point is that there are people who ask us, okay, I stay at X area and I have the nearest hospital is this covered? What we answer to such questions is that you are right now at, let's say, an age of 30 to 35, and you are looking at this policy for next 30 years. You're not looking at this policy for the next 1 year or 2 years. You're looking at a long-term thing. Now, if you're looking at a network hospital, first point is that your network hospital list is not a contracted list between the customer and the insurance company. Today morning I can give you a list of a certain TPA or an insurance company, and today evening the list could change because the hospital has a problem with the TPA, or the TPA has a problem with the hospital. Insurance companies blacklist hospitals blacklist insurance companies because of payment. Be looking at this network list when you're looking at a policy. You should look at better things, meaning there are more important things that you can look at.
Great. So let's move to the next myth, which is capping. So people think that when there is a capping on, say, room rent or any other thing,
Right.
it is always a bad thing. People generally look for those policies where there is no capping. So how do you see that?
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. The big I would like to start from there. Meaning, insurance companies which have cappings are mostly PSU companies which are in this business line of business for more than 25, 30 years now, and their experience has been that it is not sustainable to have a no capping across all sum insureds a policy in the same way. I'll give you a small example. Let's say I buy a policy for 1 lakh sum insured with a measly premium of 2,000 rupees, and I don't have cappings. And there is another person who buys a policy, let's say, for 10 lakh sum insured, and he is basically paying a premium of, let's say, 20,000 rupees. Now I am hospitalized for the same treatment. What the most likely happens. Insurance is basically a community kind of a fund. If you look at it from a very, very top level, health insurance or any insurance is a community fund. Now, if you're paying a smaller amount, it's very fair that you get a smaller cover, right? Like when you pay a 1,000 rupees premium, you're getting a 1 lakh cover, and when you're paying a 10,000 rupees premium, you're getting 10,000 cover. So it's more like a railway. I've given an example to a lot of customers that it's more like a railway ticket that you buy. So if you buy a ticket for 300 rupees, you get a sleeper class. If you buy a ticket for 5,000 rupees, you get the best class, which is first class AC. Now you cannot say there should be capping. You have railway train which everybody paying a differential premium and getting the same service. So capping is required. The second thing is that if you look at the private companies, they are just 7 to 8 years old. They're still understanding the systems, and they're still understanding a lot of the dynamics of how the claims are made. If you see, all the private players earlier did not have a capping on group insurance for room rent. But in the last 2-3 years, they've started putting capping. So the same capping, 1% on sum insured for general rooms and 2% for sum insured on ICU rooms. This is the case for any private player who's giving group insurance to employees of a company. So where does this 1%, 2% come from? It comes from the same logic of someone understanding that, okay, this is the kind of room you should get if you are looking at a lower cover. It's very fair kind of a thing. It's not a bad thing. It's actually very fair, and it's very sustainable if you look at it from an insurance company point of view and a community point of view, where a fund manager is managing your funds and you are basically withdrawing funds whenever you require a claim to be made. So it's very fair kind of a thing. It's not a bad thing actually in the long run.
So I think more than a myth, people should understand this is a very fair thing and very obvious thing from company's point of view. There is nothing
Yes.
unfair
Yes.
or to feel bad about that. Why there is capping or something? It's a pure business logic and
Exactly.
it's
Exactly.
totally okay. Okay. Great. So
Right.
let's move to the next myth that uh, health insurance plans sold by life insurers are the same. So we have life insurance companies selling health insurance and we have general insurance companies selling health insurance. So people think both are the same. So we
Right.
break that myth now.
Right. Okay. See, both life insurance and meaning all have a name. So, a life insurance company selling a defined mediclaim is also calling it health insurance. A traditional mediclaim is also called health insurance. And any other plan, critical illness also, some companies are calling it health insurance. Now, so you need to, when you're looking at a plan, you need to actually go into the detail and understand whether this is a traditional mediclaim, which will pay you actual expenses, or a defined mediclaim, which will pay you defined sums of money according to a particular event that happens. So, what happens is that generally a lot of health insurance is being sold on phone. When you're buying on phone, you need to ask particular questions just to understand whether whether you're buying a defined mediclaim or you're buying a pure health insurance. Now, the best way to get this clear is that you call for an email, understand the product on your own, and then again get into the call with the person whom you're buying health insurance from. So, or you go look up the website and understand from the website whether there's a defined mediclaim and a health insurance. We are not saying that health insurance, defined mediclaim is a bad product, but defined mediclaim is defined benefit mediclaim is more like a product which is a supplementary product to the main traditional insurance. Traditional mediclaim will take care of real actual expenses where you can get a very large sum insured and you get paid according to your actual expenses. Defined mediclaim will also pay you an amount which could be lower, higher, but it would more like take care of the ancillary expenses like paying for your conveyance or your loss of earnings and those kind of things. So it's very important because we've seen a lot of customers mistaking the product which is defined mediclaim for a traditional mediclaim and not even knowing about it. So you need to delve a little deeper, understand things in a better light.
So are you saying that defined benefit health insurance plans have cappings on each thing, or their list is small, like whatever is covered is limited in numbers? Is that what you are saying?
The thing is, there are 2-3 things. One is that defined mediclaim has around now the new ones, the advanced ones, defined mediclaim, which is from let's say LIC, Jeevan Arogya or Recon Healthcare or the Tata AG Insurance are more complex products in various kind of covers. What happens in case of these are not cappings actually, because cappings would mean it's a limit. They are basically benefits. So it is paid as per an event being occurred. Now, so for example, if I'm hospitalized for 3 days, and the hospitalization is as per the policy terms and conditions, I would be paid, let's say, if the policy says I'm going to be paid 2,000 rupees per day, I would be paid 2,000 into 3, 6,000 rupees, no questions asked. If you're going in a general ward and paying 500 rupees, or you're going to a suite and paying 5,000 rupees, you will be paid 2,000 rupees as per the policy. So that is a benefit. It is not connected to your actual expenses. Now, that is one. The other thing is that they also started covering surgery now, surgery. So they have put a list of surgeries and they have put the amounts, lump sum amounts that they will pay. So let's say hernia, they say you'll pay 20,000 rupees for hernia. Now, if you spend 50,000 rupees for an operation for hernia, you still be paid. If you spend, let's say, 10,000 rupees for certain surgery, which is costing you 20,000 rupees, you still get paid 20,000. So it's a defined policy like a life insurance where, a death does not have a actual meaning, though it has a human life value concept, but it does not have a real, it's more of a benefit policy where an event occurs and the payment is made on lump sum.
Yeah, great. This point was really nice and people really need to understand this point very well.
Right.
Let's move to the next myth, which is health insurance is a tax saving tool. More than myth, I would say this has somewhere, people are not educated enough to understand this thing, or they don't look at it in the right way. More than myth, I would say it is that thing.
I agree. Yeah. Meaning, why we call it a myth is because we want to break these thought processes. Meaning, when you buy a health insurance, okay, give me the maximum premium, which will give me the maximum tax benefit. You should not be looking at health insurance. Health insurance is not a tax. It's not an investment where you're going to get a return. It's a risk management tool. So the difference between it being a risk management tool and you getting returns in the long run is a very big difference. And not having risk management could actually affect your returns. So you may have the best of mutual funds and you don't have a good health insurance. Your health insurance money could get wiped out by one hospitalization. So these are two different things.
Yeah, definitely.
Right?
I can see the same kind of thinking is there in life insurance, which has really destroyed the penetration of health insurance, life insurance, which was required in India. But people are underinsured, heavily underinsured, and because of the same thinking that these are tax saving, and they decide they decide the premium, or how much security their family needs is defined by what is the tax level. That is so stupid.
Absolutely. Meaning people pay a lakh of premium and get a 2 lakh cover, or what that everybody knows about it. Meaning that's the most. We could actually have a separate video for this topic.
Definitely. So
maybe I'm not the expert, but someone else. Yeah.
Okay. So let's move to the ninth myth, which is there will be no changes in the terms of the Mediclaim I bought. So people do this, that they choose a policy very carefully, and once they buy it, something like they feel that that's it. Now they have bought the best policy, and it will be there for next 10 years, 15 years. So what do you have to say on that?
Okay. This basically point was brought in, meaning in the list is because the reason behind it is that people have a lot of expectations when they buy a health insurance. So when I buy a health insurance, I'm buying it for the long term. Now, why this point? It is important to understand this point in detail. Is that health insurance industry as such is going through a very big transformation from. It is moving on to becoming a profit-making industry, which is good for the customer also, because in the long run, if the business makes profits, you will get better offers. If you are a good customer, if you don't have claims, you will get better premiums. So today, the health insurance industry is grappling with a lot of various types of issues, including frauds and various issues. So, which is basically causing a lot of losses for these insurance companies. So, health insurance companies are basically metamorphosing into making a right policy which will be sustainable for the community as a whole, which includes the customer and the insurance company, which is basically managing the health insurance money and then, of course, making profits. This point is also important to understand that when you're buying a policy, don't only go by the premium. There have been a case in the past where people have suddenly had to pay 500% more premium just because they went by the premium and not by the policy. So thinking that, now the premium remains the same. Changes will happen, and changes could happen on the negative side also as much as on the positive side. So there are companies which have changed their loading policy regularly. There are companies which have changed premiums. There are companies which have changed certain terms and conditions in the policy. Health insurance is basically a yearly policy where terms and conditions can be changed as per the policy conditions every year according to as a contract. It can change. So you need to understand the company's philosophy, which company you're going for. Is that company really credible in terms of what has been the changes in the past, and then sign up. Not necessarily a company having a better terms and conditions will remain that way, and not necessarily a company which has today a little restrictive conditions, but a more experienced company could have restrictive conditions because of their experience. So, and then you would, let me give you an example. You have a policy which you have bought and which has the best terms and conditions, but then it could be from a company which is just 2 or 3 years old in the system. And you could buy this other parallel. There is another person who has bought a policy which is let's say a 40-year-old company selling a policy. There are more chances of the company which is newer to change terms and conditions because they're still understanding the market. They're still understanding. So there will be an analysis of the claims that happened in the last year, and they could make changes in the terms and conditions.
So what I'm hearing is, even if the terms and conditions are best right now, it might happen that it is because the company is not mature enough to understand the dynamics of the industry, and they think that it is okay to put that terms and conditions.
Manish, I would, meaning it's not a question of maturity. Actually, sorry for that, but it is more of there being no data. Meaning, even after 8 years or 9 years of insurance industry being privatized, you really don't have really credible data for an insurance company to really price their policy. So they have to learn on their own. They have to get into the market, bring a product. There is no calculation for premiums, which is really scientific. It's more of a trial and error, and then it works out. So there is no real very detailed calculation that like it happened in the West. Because there is no data. I don't have data. Today, if I am an insurance company and starting off, I don't know how to really, in the real sense, what would be my 80% probability profits or loss in the next year. Because it's going to be, you can understand, if there is no data, I cannot analyze and make a real premium chart. So those kind of, so they're making the new insurance companies to understand and bring out such kind of stable products. So there are going to be changes. You need to be in safe hands, meaning you need to have a good advisor who will explain you these changes before they are implemented, and help you trade through this path. Every insurance company is going to change. So you need to move with understanding and being knowledgeable about what is going to happen in the future. So you're not taken by surprise.
Okay. Great. So let's take 2 more myths and let's try to cover them fast. So the 10th myth is that people think that they can destroy their medical policies once they have expired. What does it mean really, and why is it a myth?
Okay. Though all the public insurance companies, the government insurance companies are slowly getting becoming technologically more advanced. We have had a lot of cases where if you see this point is more applicable to government insurance companies today.
What is this point actually? Can you just explain why it is a myth?
Okay. When I basically complete a year of my policy, every year I get a new policy. It's not like a life insurance where I have a bond, right? I have a bond in place and I just get receipts for renewals, right?
Okay.
I will get a new policy every year. So I have a policy which has a start date and an end date, and on expiry I pay a new premium and I get a fresh policy every year. So
it is like I have come fresh as a customer and I'm taking a new policy. Is it that way? Every time, every year?
It shows, no, it's not completely that way. It's basically that it is a 1-year contract. It's not like life insurance, which is like a 20-year or 25-year contract. Health insurance is a yearly contract. So every year you're getting a new bond, a new contract, which has continuity benefits because of your earlier policy with the insurance company. So you get continuity benefits of your 2-year waiting periods and various other claim-free years and your bonuses and all that. So that part is taken care. So it's not exactly a completely fresh thing, but at the same time, it's a new bond, it's a new policy with certain benefits of your earlier loyalty with the insurance company with no claims and all that. Now, so when you get a new policy which is applicable for that year, you have your old policy with you. In case of PSU insurance companies, it is advisable to keep those policy copies even if they have expired. And we have seen a lot of customers who actually have destroyed those policies. And I'll tell you where the problem comes. Now, most insurance companies have changed, the PSU insurance companies have changed their TPA. So today I am with an X TPA, and next year I have changed the TPA to Y. The data is not seamlessly transferred of the continuity terms and conditions. So let's say I have a continuous policy for 4 years. In 4 years, I could have 3 TPAs changed. And so there are 3 TPAs which are changed by the insurance company where you don't have any authority. You cannot change your TPA, or you cannot ask for the same TPA. The TPAs are changed unilaterally. The data is now sitting at different TPAs. The consolidation of this data is sometimes not done properly. And hence, when there is a claim for something which has a waiting period, you may be asked for proof of continuity. for 3 years. I have had 2 TPAs which have changed by the insurance company, and on the 4th year I have a claim for pre-existing, or sorry, for a waiting period which was, let's say, 2 years. So let's say hernia is for 2 years waiting period, and the 3rd year I have a hernia operation. Now, and this TPA where I'm lodging the claim is a new TPA. It does not have details about my continuous coverage in the last 2 years. So the TPA may ask you to give proof of date of coverage, which is your earliest coverage. So they may ask you for policy copies. There are other ways to get this detail. So walking into the insurance company's office and getting details from them, but that is a long shot. A more easier way to do it. So if you are having a renewal close by, don't destroy your copies. Keep those copies. At least 4 years copies you keep, so that it will help you. It will make the claim more smooth. There are other ways to do it, as I said, by going to the insurance company and taking a proof declaration from the insurance company saying that you're covered continuously for so many years, but then that becomes a little difficult and not convenient.
So I think yeah, this point is really good, and people should maintain their copies of all the policy documents and all. But I see this is somewhere linked with how people organize their financial life in general. So they should always keep all the documents up to date. They should maintain a folder where they keep all the documents safely for long. Like it can, why 4 years? Why not 10 years? What's going anyways?
Right.
What's going
absolutely.
Anyways? So
you can keep a scanned copy also. Yeah, you can keep a soft form of policy if you don't want to carry files.
Yeah. So yeah, that is a good option. Okay, so let's come to the last myth that my friend is my health insurance advisor. So most of the people, you might be seeing this, that most of the people take these health insurance policies from their relatives, their friends, or someone who is closely related, and they feel that they will get the best policy or the best advice, and that is where the problem is. Most of the mess happens there.
Exactly. It is not only related to health insurance, it is related to every product, especially related to life insurance. Agents have mad targets and they're forced and pushed by their people. I'm not saying agents are clean. It has become like a process. It's become like a practice where everybody is forcing everybody. And so what is my best way if I'm under pressure? What is my best way to take care of that pressure if I'm an agent? I shove it in the throat of people who are me or trusting me. Not that the guy is bad or good. I'm not talking about something bad or good. It's only that it becomes very easy for your soft targets to be explored. Now, whenever we have had a discussion with customers and we've seen bad products with customers, in 80 to 90% cases, I would actually go to say even 100% of the cases, it has been bought from a relative or a friend. You need to understand, a customer needs to understand, or your readers need to understand, is that you are buying a product in a market where you have huge choice. You should not be looking at a product just because your kaka or your chacha or your friend's chacha or your neighborhood uncle is selling that policy. He may be having a policy which could be substandard. He may be having a policy. There are cases where the agent is actually someone else, meaning he's doing life insurance business and he's also doing health insurance. So he has only one policy to sell. So he goes and sells only that policy. You need to know that you have a lot of choice. You should deal with an advisor who would give you unbiased advice across insurance companies and not push you on one product. Those kind of things are required to be done. So I'm not saying that a friend is bad or buying from a friend is bad, but you need to qualify the friend that whether he is expert enough to give you advice for a certain product. Every advice is not going to be the right advice if he's not qualified. It is also based on convenience actually. What happens is that I'm sitting in office, my colleague sitting next to me, अरे यार health insurance लेना है, कोई है क्या? हाँ है ना, ये नंबर ले लो, इसको बात कर लो. अच्छा मुझे health insurance चाहिए, आपके पास पॉलिसी है? हाँ पॉलिसी है, ठीक है भेज दो, चेक ले लो, खत्म. It's not that way, meaning boss, you need to actually work more hard finding a good advisor, and the policy will then definitely be good.
Yeah,
it's the other way around.
I think people are so casual about it because of because
exactly.
At that moment there is no crisis. At that moment there is no issue.
Exactly.
But when the real issue happens, then they start thinking, So it's like, like me and my partner, when we talk, we say that people don't put lot of thinking or lot of effort at the time of taking the policy, but when it is at the time of closing the policy, or when the real thing happens, then they like unearth the things,
Yes.
and they make a lot of issue, and then they abuse people, and then regulator is bad, then the company is bad, and everybody is bad, but he is not bad. So,
Correct.
yeah.
People spend more time buying, let's say, shoes and such stuff, where and spend. I've seen people spend a huge time buying basic furniture and all that, but which is going to be as long term as you buying a health insurance. You don't spend really good time looking for a good advisor, which I think I'm that's one point which I've seen big, very, very senior people with lot of experience, excellent qualifications, making such mistakes.
People are ready to hire an advisor to suggest what mobile they want to buy. They can pay 2,000-3,000 if they are planning to buy a 15,000 or 20,000 mobile. If a person can really suggest and understand his needs and suggest the best mobile phone, people are ready to pay that. But for something which is going to cover their loved ones, they are not ready to pay even I would say even 100 rupees. They are not ready
Exactly.
to pay that much. They feel they are smart.
I agree.
They feel just because they are educated, net savvy, they can find things from net, and they can be their own best advisor. So, but it's not true always.
Exactly. I feel that you should be your own meaning. If I am an meaning today I may buy health insurance on my own advice, but I will not buy life insurance also on my own advice. Even though I am from the insurance industry, I will still speak to a life insurance expert and buy life insurance. So it should be that way. Meaning you should not. It's very simple that if you're not specialized, you don't understand all the nitty-gritties. You need to basically take help, even if it costs a certain amount of money, from a good advisor. I sincerely feel that, and it really pays in the long run than making mistakes buying from some kaka of yours.
So, Mahavir, thanks a lot for breaking these 11 myths for our readers, and I'm sure that it might have opened lot of minds of many people. They might be thinking that wow, today we have really understood what happens in health insurance sector. So,
Right.
thanks a lot for this, and I would like you to tell our readers what MediManage can do for them and how MediManage can help them. From if a person is in Bangalore or in Pune or in Mumbai, how can they benefit from MediManage, and what exactly is MediManage? Just in short, maybe in 1 or 2 minutes, if you can summarize.
Okay, basically, MediManage is a specialized health insurance broking company. We basically have a license to deal with all insurance products. We have a license to deal with car insurance because IRDA has given us a license to deal with all products. But we are from a health background. Actually, the promoters are from a health background, and hence we have taken a call that we only want to serve health insurance. We basically are a very comprehensive kind of a full service outfit because we do only specialized health insurance business. We have a claims team which handles claims separately, which are people who have been recruited from TPAs and people who have experience in understanding what claim documents are all about, where the file goes, what happens to the file, how does the file travel and get finally authorized and paid, and those kind of people in the claim section. We have advisors who are trained very heavily to understand each and every product in the market and explain to the customer in very simple language what is good for him, bad for him in the long run. So basically it's a full service starting from advisory, purchase assistance, which helps you purchase a product in the most suitable way. We being online, we can help the customer buy online. We have people who are all experts on phone. You can call in and you can speak to them. You can log a inquiry and you can get an appointment and you can speak to an expert in detail. Meaning our calls are more than 20-25 minutes long. Meaning people who have spoken to us feel that it is very comprehensive. We try to understand each and every aspect. We explain each and every aspect of the product, even if you don't ask. So we go to that level of explaining the product because we believe we own the product as much as you own the product, and we'll give you service right through the product, which is including renewals and the claims. And claims is the main service for us because otherwise it's just a piece of paper, and hence that is the most important reason for us explaining the product more in detail, so your expectations are clear. That's I think I was too long, but that
was pretty much good, and I'm sure many people would like to take help of MediManage.com.
Right. Even otherwise, if you have a product policy you bought from someone else and you want any kind of help in terms of claims you stuck or anything, you can write to us and we can help you. That would not be on a fee or something. But for Jago investor readers, we will offer that. That's not a problem.
Great. That's a very nice thing. So I think that's all. We can end the call now, and many thanks to you to be on the call. I hope we do more calls like this in future. Yeah, Mahavir, can you hear me?
Sure, sure. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, and it's really a pleasure interacting with. Hello.
Yeah, Mahavir, I can hear you.
Yeah, it's really a pleasure talking to you, Manish, and being able to interact with your readers because my earlier experiences have been very, very good. And it's really great that there are people who take pains to understand a policy in detail and buy. And we are more than happy to explain whatever intricacies that the customers or readers are looking for.
Great.
So, thanks a lot for this activity. Meaning, it was great.
Thanks a lot, Mahavir.